first I wanted to provide a little bit of background for all of you on how our project came about, for just a little context. The Yale University Art Gallery, the oldest college art museum in America, has long had a strong mission of accessibility. We are free and open to the public, and we were one of the first US museums to make our collection images open access, available on our website as free high-resolution downloads as long as they're in the public domain. In early 2020, as a direct result of conversations happening around the museum's new strategic plan, the administration and our governing board began to show an increased desire to explore ways in which our publications might fit into the mission of broad accessibility that we have in other areas. By March, the pandemic had lit a fire under these conversations, as I know it has in many of your own institutions. And shortly after the start of the pandemic, our director and chief curator asked me to consider how we might provide free online access to our print publications. Tackling a project of this sort can be daunting, for sure, and there are a lot of ways to go about a digitization project, whether putting PDFs directly on your website, as the Met and the gallery are doing, placing your material with a repository such as Internet Archive or Hockey Trust, or using a site like Issue or Publitas, or even creating EPUBs with advanced features. So first and foremost, we asked ourselves a series of questions to begin to determine goals and scope. For instance, what's more important, speed or quality? Do we want the scanned content to live directly on our website, or is this not important to us? How important is ADA compliance? Your answers to these questions will help determine the shape of your project. At the gallery, we landed on the following priorities. We knew we wanted the content to be free. As I said, that really was the impetus for this project. We wanted to digitize all of our out-of-print titles, going back to the 1960s, which amounts to about 125 catalogs. And I should say the one exception is I did set aside our co-published books, just in an effort to have one thing off our plate and not have to start going back to other partners and request permission to digitize those. So we'll put those in a later batch. We wanted the content to be searchable, but beyond that, we didn't really care about any bells and whistles, so a straight PDF was fine for us. Our director had a strong desire to place the content directly on our website, though. She didn't want people to have to click multiple times to access it. We have extremely high standards for our digital assets at the gallery, so the quality of the scans was important and something we knew we wanted a lot of control over up front. And because we're on a university campus, ADA compliance wasn't a question for us, it was a requirement. The university asked that any PDFs placed on a Yale website be fully ADA compliant. With the shape of our project defined and a list of books to be scanned in hand, we were ready to get started. And I should pause to say that we is just me, my editorial and production assistant, and a graduate student that we hired specifically for this project. So we are a small but mighty team working on this project. In December of 2020, we contracted with codemantra, a leader in IDP, or Intelligent Document Processing. And you may have noticed on your way into the session today, codemantra is a sponsor of our panel today. They are also the same company that the Met used for Met Publications, and Tanya will speak a bit more about a different company that she's using for her project. In addition to scanning the publications, our vendor would also add smart links so that, for instance, if you click on a footnote in the main text, it will bump you straight to that footnote at the end of the essay, chapter, or publication, as it may be. And then if you click on it again, it will take you back to the main text where you were. They would also ensure that the files were fully searchable and were ADA compliant, and they would draft the alt text for the images. Some things to keep in mind at this point. Your contractor will want page and image counts in order to provide you with an estimate, both in terms of costs and in terms of timing, and eventually corresponding titles and ISBNs for tracking purposes when you begin the digitization process, and we just used a simple Excel format for that. You're also going to want to get your hands on 2 copies of every publication to be digitized, one to send off to your vendor and the other to hang on to so that you can start the rights process while your vendor is digitizing, and so that you have something to check against when it's time to do some quality control.